My name is Barry Derber and I'm responsible for the biscuit manufacture here at the site of British Ceramic Tile. What I'm going to do today is give you a brief overview of how we make tiles on this site here at Heathfield. Where we are now is the raw materials yard, and this is where the process begins. The clays that we use in our body are all locally sourced within a mile's radius of the factory. The clay gets delivered by road and it gets tipped into the silos you see behind me, and each silo is basically a scale. On each leg of the silo is a load cell, and the load cell tells the computer exactly how much clay is in the hopper so that the computer can weigh out the recipe. Our recipe consists of ball clay, china clay, silica sand, limestone and any material that we reintroduce into the body, which is all our waste that we generate in the factory, which is about 5%. The materials, after they've been weighed out, they then go into a mill, a continuous mill, which is one of the biggest in Europe. It's over 30 meters long, and what happens is the raw material gets mixed with water and a deflocculant. It's a continuous mill, and as the material passes through the mill, it gets beaten down with ceramic balls, and as it exits the mill, it's then what we call a prepared body. We've now got a slip. The area that we just left was where we created the slip through the ball mill. What we're going to do now is turn that slip into a powder, which we need to compact and press and make the tile. We make the powder with this machine here, which is called a spray dryer. And basically the spray dryer is just a cylinder full of hot air, and as the material gets sprayed into the atmosphere of the hot air, the little globules of material, the water evaporates and goes through the chimney as steam, and the particles of powder fall to the bottom of the cone and exit the dryer. This dryer will produce in excess of 30 tons an hour with a moisture retention of 5%, which is needed for when we compact the tile. The powder now will go into storage, where it will stand for 24 hours before we use to allow it to get more homogeneous. We've produced the powder, and what we're going to do now is compact that powder and make it into a tile. Here we have a series of presses which are making a variety of sizes. These presses will produce in excess of 4,000 square meters each in one 12-hour working shift. The tile, as it's been pressed, it passes through the roller table and then goes on its journey through the dryer and into the kiln, where it is ultimately fired into a biscuit tile. The tile, as I said, has got a 5% moisture retention, and we need to remove that moisture from the tile before it enters the dryer. Otherwise, if that moisture was still in the tile would explode immediately it entered the kiln. So on metal rollers, the tile passes through the dryer, and in 12 minutes time, after it's entered the dryer, it'll now enter the kiln. And the kiln temperature on entry is plus minus 200 degrees. So the tile enters the kiln and passes through now on ceramic rollers. From this point here to the exit point will take approximately 26 minutes. So the temperature is now gradually building up to its peak temperature of 1,000 degrees, or depending on the format of the tile, on the upper channel, because it's a larger tile, that would be fine at 1,175 degrees. So we're gradually building up its temperature. As it enters the main firing zone and exits the main firing zone, it goes through a rapid cooling process, and then the tile has to be gradually cooled as it exits the kiln so that there's no thermal shock which would result in failure. Okay, what we saw down in the pressing area was a piece of clay which would quite easily break. We've now fired it, and what we've got is a hard piece of biscuit that will now go away to be glazed and decorated. We're here at the decorating lines, and in reverse what happens now, the tile gets taken off the platform, put onto the roller table, and single file, the tile passes down the glaze line where the glaze and the decoration is applied. There's 3 stages to applying the glaze. The first stage is where we put a fine mist of water on to make the tile surface more homogeneous. The second stage is what we call on-go. It's an application that acts as a mask. It fires white because the clay that we mine out of the quarry can't always be guaranteed that it's the same shade. So if we start with a white base, every tile that we glaze starts off exactly the same. The next application is the glaze. All the glazes come in neutral colours, and if we want to make a tinted glaze, we just add a pigment. The glaze tile now passes down the decorating line for the next application, which is where we apply the prints. The final stage of decoration is where we apply a pattern by the means of a silicon roller. The roller is laser etched with thousands and thousands of little pixels, and what we have is an ink, a blade. The blade forces the ink into the pixel, and as the tile passes under the roller applies the pattern to the tile. This is the roller that's used. It's laser etched, and as the roller turns, the ink gets forced into the pixel by the blade, and as the tile passes underneath, the pattern gets transferred onto the tile. Because we've now applied glaze to the tile, we can't go and stack them on top of each other because we'll damage the glaze. So therefore, we have to present them to a roller box in a single layer and put them into the different levels of the roller box. The glaze tiles now exit the roller box, go along the travel line and enter the kiln. This tile 30 minutes ago was a dull tile which you could scrape the glaze off. It's now a nice, shiny, beautiful wall tile. The tiles now need to be graded, and this machine here does the grading. It's computer controlled, and the operator sets the machine so it looks for faults. It takes the faults out and either rejects them for scrap or rejects them for second grade. At any one time, the machine will tell me at what percentage the product is running through the process at, and how many seconds we've had and how many scrap tiles we've had. After it's passed through the grading process, it'll then pass along the travel line to be wrapped in cardboard, labelled and palletised. Final product, and from here it will go to our storage facility, which is managed by our logistic partners Gregory's, who will deliver direct to our customers.